Hello everybody. Thought I'd do a video showing my top 15 favourite films of all time, but also the sort of different editions I have of them. Some, even though they're my favourites and I've had them for a long time, I've still only really got them on DVD, maybe where I watched them so much as a kid. Whereas some I've got on like a few versions on special, limited edition and 4Ks and steelbooks. Yeah, really hard to narrow it down to 15. To be fair, I did try and do it to 10, but there was just some I couldn't really miss out the list. So probably some honourable mention, probably some I forgot that I'll think about after. My top favourite, I think most of you know that, but I'll show that last, whereas the rest aren't really in an order as such. It'd be too hard to rank them sort of 15 down to one, so I'll just show them and speak a little bit about them and why they're my favourites and stuff. So, we've got Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm sure most people have seen this. It's the Ultimate Edition. This is actually the first ever Blu-ray I ever bought. I always collected DVDs, and obviously when I was a kid I had VHS, especially the ones the blank tapes and you record films on them. My mum and dad had like a library of about 100, and there was a little book, and it'd be like tape two is got, I don't know, Condor Man and ET on it, and then tape 27 would have Neverending Story 1, 2 or whatever, and then you could obviously re-record over them. But yeah, I had this one on video. Did used to watch this as a kid. My mum and dad used to let me watch gory stuff and swearing and stuff when I was for about 9 years old, maybe younger. They didn't really like sort of sex scenes. They'd make me put the pillow over my face on that bit, but weird how society was back in the 90s. It probably must have been when, you can see gore and killings and people swearing and Arnie mowing down monsters, but you can see like a soft sex scene. I think there was a scene in Big with Tom Hanks where he sort of touches a woman's boob, and when I seen that when I was about 9, it was like controversial at the time. And no, they show it on TV, but I'm assuming when they do show it, they cut that little bit out. Maybe that's a Mandela effect, and that wasn't really in it. And I thought it was as a kid. I haven't watched my DVD copy of it for a long time. Anyway, I'll stop rambling and get on with these. So yeah, Predator. Seen this as a kid, really enjoyed it. Enjoyed the kind of crazy, over the top sort of macho action punch lines, like stick around when he throws a knife in the guy and knock knock when he kicks the door through. Um, One of Arnold's best films in terms of he looks the part with all his muscles, and he does actually have some good acting and that in it. Um, the Predator is really great designed creature by Stan Winston. Liked how it's set in the jungle, like all the different kills, kind of sci-fi horror action, all rolled into one. Some other good stars in it as well, but yeah, Predator. I'm sure everyone knows that. I'm sure everyone knows this one. This would probably be in the top five if I was to rank them. But Jaws. I remember seeing this around my mate's house when we were kids, and film in general with the shark and that scared us. But the bit when they go, I think the divers go down to like a wreck, like a submarine. I can't remember, but anyway, a green kind of rotten headlight with a eye popping out comes out from under the sort of I guess it's in like a little um recess sort of thing and makes you jump, and that really scared us. And yeah, as a kid I was scared to go in the water after this, as the tagline says, and it sounds stupid, but he'd even be scared to like go in the bath. And obviously, there's no way a great white shark's coming up the bath plug. But a lot of kids I know, same as the original It, the TV series, where all the showers are like morphing and Pennywise is trying to come out of them, and same with Candyman in the bathroom mirror and sort of toilet scene where it just sort of scared us. An irrational fear, because like I say, I know sharks wouldn't be able to come up the bath the plug, but for some reason. But I did see this probably, yeah, when I was about 7 or so, around my mate's house maybe. But yeah, really well made film, one of Spielberg's best, kind of timeless really. And it's not just a shark film; it has a bit of commentary, of political commentary, should I say? How the tourism board know people are going to die from the shark and being killed, but they want to keep the beaches open just to make money, regardless of the safety. Leon, I'm sure everybody knows this one. Um, so yeah, I watched this with my mate. Probably a bit older when I watched this one. I'd heard of it, but probably went to he was like 15. Both really enjoyed it, and really well made film. I think it's Natalie Portman. Is it Natalie Portman in it? Let's see if I can. Yeah, Natalie Portman, one of her first films when she was really young. Gary Oldman is probably my favourite actor ever. Jean Reno is the main guy. Leon. I know it's directed by the guy that does Fifth Element. Let's see if I can see the name. I'm sure everybody's seen this one. I won't talk too long. I can't see who direct. No, yeah, Luc Besson. He also does Dogman, that I showed a more recent film. Anyway, let's pick up the pace. Alien. This is a still book. I do really like Aliens as well, and it's kind of more fun, but it does, I wouldn't say drag on, but it's quite a long for an action film, about 2.5 hours. But yeah, I like the atmosphere in this. I like the sort of, like you could call it a haunted house in space, basically. You know, even though they're in a spaceship being stalked by an alien, it does kind of work in the way that a sort of haunted house film would. You know, House on Haunted Hill, but with a xenomorph. But yeah, I'm sure everybody's seen Alien. Obviously, I don't think any of my favourites are going to be real surprising to people. These are all really well-known films, so I won't talk about them too much. Obviously, there's one I think people might not know. I'll go into it a bit more. Oh yeah, my cat wouldn't move out of the way, and this is where I usually do the video, so he's in the shop now. Right, Lord of the Rings trilogy. So I probably think Return of the Rings. That's Return of the Rings. Return of the King is my favourite out of these three, but hard to narrow it down. They've all got certain bits, say Fellowship of the Ring. It takes a little while to pick up where it's set in the story in the Shire, but the bit when they go in the mines of Moria is one of my favourite bits. Two Towers, I really like it when they meet the Ents and the Battle of Helm's Deep, and then Return of the King, the Battle of Minas Tirith is epic. I've got a bit more of the scenes with Gollum are really good. Um, got what do you call it? The Nazgul, the fell beast that flies and screams and that. Really like that creature, like a sort of dragon monster. But yeah, I'm sure everybody knows that. And in fact, just isn't really a spoiler because you'll see it in a minute. But there's another Peter Jackson film on this list, but very different to Lord of the Rings. My favourite comedy film of all time with Noah and I. I wouldn't say it's the funniest comedy film. I'd say Step Brothers makes me laugh more, even though it's silly and I'm not always a massive Will Ferrell fan in everything he does, but I really like Step Brothers. But yeah, as a film, I wouldn't say it's a great film, so I didn't put it in here. But I'd say this is the most quotable film I've ever seen. It's just literally, I won't go into them, so I've already done videos talking about these and reviews of them on Letterboxd and stuff, but of these, or this, should I say. Yeah, I think that's the only edition I had. I did used to have a Blu-ray of this, but I traded it into CX. Got about £6 or something for it once I bought this one. About 25 or so this was on the special 4K Arrow edition. Yeah, I'm surprised if anyone hasn't seen this. It's not only a really uh, well-made film, one of the best British films in my opinion, and also um, funny, and like I say, loads of quotables. But it does have quite a sort of bittersweet. Without going into the spoilers of what, not bittersweet. What's the word? It's not like a tragedy, but the way their lives are kind of shit and how Wivno ends up at the end and stuff. It kind of, yeah, it is really nostalgic film to me as well. So I used to watch this with my mates when we were younger. Most of these are films I found as a kid. I don't think there's any films. Some I've seen in the last, say, 10 years or so, 20 years. I don't know how long that could make it into this list over time, but I need to watch them more. But yeah, some I've seen more recently that I've really enjoyed. Yeah, obviously these are ones that hold nostalgia. So I seen with No One Eye for the first time today. I might not enjoy it as much because some of these, like I say, do sort of hold more value in my heart than they might to some other people. It's like this one, for example, The Burbs, Joe Dante film with Tom Hanks. Another spoiler. There's going to be two Tom Hanks films in this list. There could have been more, but I really had to. I know actually, is there? Oh, I'm not sure. Let me double check. Yeah, actually, now I think of it, there was one Green Mile that I was really close to putting in, but I put a different one on instead of it. Anyway, The Burbs. Yeah, I watched this as a kid. This is one of my sister's favourite ever films since I recommended it to her. She didn't watch it with me as a kid, but she watched it years ago. She was like 15 and really enjoyed it. But yeah, I just like the way it's sort of I guess it's like a good entry to sort of comedy horror as a kid. It's got horrifying elements, but it's never too intense. And then it has I just like the sort of way that the Klopeks that move in next door, and there's a bit of a riff, an allegory on sort of xenophobia and people being scared of like their neighbours and being foreign, because they're foreign, they've got weird ways about them to these people that live in the suburbs. Um, they sort of become suspicious of them, and then it's a kind of not a spoiler, but it's a case of are they evil, are they not, and it goes back and forth by thinking they are, and then you think they're not, then they think they are, and it's got a twist. And yeah, for me, probably my favourite Joe Dante film, even over Gremlins and Matinee and The Howling. But yeah, I'm sure most people have seen The Burbs, so I won't talk about it too long. All right, Brain Dead. Yeah, it's been Second Sight, Arrow, Severin, one of these, like, need to put this out. I think it's New Line Cinema. It was originally released, saying Universal, so it's not that they probably can't get the license to it. But yeah, again, watched this when I was younger, probably 10 or 11, around my mate's house with his mum and dad, and his mum and dad thought it was amazing. They thought it was hilarious. Obviously, the goriest film I've ever seen, but it's not done in a way where it's sort of disturbing or gives you nightmares. It's a funny kind of over the top, campy, um, but never too far. I mean, if it's cheesy, it's meant to be. It's funny, but special effects are amazing. Some of the kills, I won't spoiler alert it, but the lawnmower scene near the end is what I'm going to say. The characters, um, not really a spoiler, but there's a bit where he takes this evil baby down the park in his pram, and there's loads of mums and nans and stuff watching, but mostly mums, and he loses control of the baby, and because it's evil, it jumps out the pram, and he's fighting it, and to get it back into the thing, and all these parents are looking on, thinking he's like beating this like baby for no reason, and really it's like an evil, and the choreography. It's a film I used to think of that reminded me of it, but basically the way the baby will roll down the seesaw, and as he goes to jump to grab it, he'll fling it up into the air. It's kind of a bit of a circusy. But yeah, for me, this is, if you want for my number one, probably my favourite horror film. Kind of When You See This by Peter Jackson. Also did Bad Taste, Meet the Feebles, older films, and then obviously more recently Heavenly Creatures and what's it called, The Frighteners. And then he moved on to obviously King Kong and Lord of the Rings. But yeah, you can tell from here the talent he had. This is low budget. I think it took him years to make, but the special effects, the dialogue is funny. It's like classic. Yeah, it's just an absolute romp for me. This is when I say these are my favourite films. It's not just films I think are good. I've seen some films that I think are brilliantly made, but I just don't enjoy them. I don't want to rewatch them. Whereas my number one, The Burbs, This Brain Dead, are films I've watched like 10 plus times. And these I've showed this one to my mates, and they just can't believe how like funny and insane. And like I say, it's a goriest film I've ever seen, but not in an offensive way. It's done in a really funny, schlocky kind of, but never in a kind of bad way where you're laughing at it, you're laughing with it. But yeah, if you haven't seen that, I would recommend this. It's just sort of peak, ridiculous, over the top horror. I'm sure everyone knows this, The Shawshank Redemption. It was out of this and The Green Mile really to put in, not just because they're prison films, but just for these kind of big epic sort of Frank Darabont movies. But yeah, sure everybody knows this. I know Stuart George is a big fan of this one. Still just got this one on DVD. Never really upgraded it. I think it's just because I've seen it so much as a kid and that. I'm not saying I'm burnt out and I won't watch it again. I haven't watched it in years, and it just comes on TV and stuff sometimes. But yeah, I think Stuart George did say there's a 4K set. I can't remember what company said it is, but I'm going to look into it. But yeah, obviously Arrow. I mean, now Arrow have done Prince of Thieves and RoboCop and Wolf of Wall Street, what else? Last Emperor, some sort of big Hollywood films like that. I wouldn't be surprised if they did manage to put out Shawshank Redemption. I think it'd be more them than like Second Sight or Criterion and anyone would do it. But yeah, I'm sure everybody knows this. Amazing script, great characters, amazing acting, brilliant soundtrack. Need I go on? Home Alone. Still enjoy this when I watch it now, but as a kid, first time I ever watched this when I was probably like 5 or so. Never. Let me see what year it comes out. 1990. Yeah, so when it first came out on home video, no, it'd been about 6 or 7, I think. But yeah, obviously this is my favourite Christmas film. I mean, it's set at Christmas, so I class that. If people say Die Hard's a Christmas film, then this definitely is. Part two, almost as good. One of the best sequels I've seen, and obviously it expands where it goes into the city rather than a house, and that's really more Christmassy. And I like the Pigeon Lady, but this one, I think, just classic sort of comedy. I'm not really usually a fan of like slapstick and people getting hurt and hit and setting traps, which is kind of obviously a big premise of this. Um, Although saying that, I don't know if British viewers remember Bottom, the young ones, and then Hotel Guest House Paradiso. That's kind of the only other slapstick I like, where they're beating each other up and throwing hammers at each other's heads and stupid stuff like that. Like whereas Home Alone, I'm sure everybody's seen this. Macaulay Culkin is brilliant in this for his age. Really sort of great acting role. Obviously the two main villains really good. The setup of it is good. I mean, the premise, how do you leave your kid at home, sounds stupid, but with all the hustle and bustle, and he's been naughty, so they've sent him up to the attic. Once he saw it, I mean, it's a bit silly, really, that a little kid this size, no matter how clever he was, even if he trained in the SAS, would be able to overpower two sort of grown, hardened criminals with traps and that. It's part when they kind of got hold of him and they could, well, obviously you don't want it to happen, but just kill him, but they just try and hang him up and stuff. And like, but obviously because it's a kids' film, they can't be too violent. But yeah, sure, everybody knows about that, so I try not to ramble on. Jurassic Park 1. Should I just call it Jurassic Park? Yeah, I've never really upgraded this to a better version. I think again, it's just one I don't watch that often now, just because I've seen it so many times. But this one for me, when I was a kid, I was a big fan of dinosaurs. But yeah, this is so memorable. It's the most sort of, what's the word, effective film I've ever seen in the cinema. So when I think we were 9 years old when this came out, and we went to my mate for my mate's birthday to the cinema to see it, and we all had to ride in the back of his like dad's like van, which was like fun on the way there and back. And then, I mean, it has got some quite tense. A bit with the Dilophosaur is kind of tense and makes you jump, and obviously it's really loud in the cinema with the T Rex shaking and the whole sort of screen and the noise. And I mean, I enjoyed it, but the other kids I went with were terrified. And where I'd seen horror films and stuff by the time I was 9, more intense than this, not in the cinema, but they kind of enjoyed it. They didn't want to leave the cinema, but they were sort of a few bits that was intense for them. Whereas yeah, I'd already seen Nightmare on Elm Street and RoboCop and Predator and some quite sort of gory films. So this was less to me. But yeah, obviously the special effects for the time, the sort of epicness of it, the characters in it, just seeing dinosaurs sort of rendered that close to life, especially the massive brachiosaur when they sort of first roll up and look up at it, it's like breathtaking. But yeah, I mean, not too much more I need to say about Jurassic Park. I'm sure again everybody's seen this. If you haven't seen films like Jurassic Park, Home Alone, Shawshank Redemption, then probably either very young or you've got a treat ahead of you. And yeah, RoboCop. So I spoke before in films that scared me as a kid video I did about a year ago. About I watched this when I was real young, and the scene where he sort of shoots the guy into the fountain really sort of scared me. And every time I'd hear robot noises in my house, I thought it was a 209 coming to get me. But yeah, my parents didn't let me see this. I snuck down when they were in bed when I couldn't sleep to the VHS and press play, and it was on that scene when I was about 5 or so. I mean, yeah, don't know what year that came out, but yeah, it's a really nice special edition of that one. And then this, obviously that's an Arrow one, sorry. The trilogy. I don't think I really like number 2 and 3 too much. I haven't watched them in a long time. I was thinking of trading this in CEX. Now I've got that because I didn't really care too much for 2 and 3. But when I got this, I think I used to have it on DVD and traded it in. But this was only like £2 more than just getting the RoboCop one on its own on Blu-ray to get the whole trilogy. And I think it's got more extras and stuff. I think there was a series of it which I watched when I was a kid. I think I kind of enjoyed it, but I don't think it was too great. But yeah, sure everybody knows RoboCop. Really great satire of advertisements and corporate, what do you call it, capitalism and stuff. This one, yeah, I might watch 2 and 3 again soon, see if I like them before I trade it in. Right, coming to the end of them now. Right, Pan's Labyrinth. I'm sure everybody knows this. Guillermo del Toro film, my favourite one by him. One of my favourite foreign language films. When I first seen this, I was like blown away. Showed it to some of my mates that just hate subtitles, and even they enjoyed it. I think it's a kind of story, well, though it's got dialogue, you can kind of tell what's going on just by the scenes and the kind of plot and the story of it. But yeah, there's, I mean, like spoilers, there's quite a shocking sort of violent scene. What I'm going to say is the guy with the glass bottle, what he does to the guys that he thinks are poaching rabbits. Like, yeah, it's like a fantasy film, really good characters. What they call him, the Pale Man, I think. Really creepy. Then you've got Pan, who's like a big kind of faun. It's like other creatures, like a weird little thing that lives. She keeps under a bed. Ophelia, the girl's called. But yeah, it's kind of split between the Spanish Civil War, and I think it's so brutal and hard for the girl to deal with that she creates her own sort of imaginary world. I mean, I don't know whether the world is meant to be real and she really is existing in it, or whether it's just her way of getting away from reality, sort of thing. I'm sure everybody's seen Pan's Labyrinth. If you haven't, then go and watch it. Like I say, even if you're not a fan of subtitles and foreign cinema, it's just the visuals and the characters. And Doug Jones, I think, that was in the one I talked about called Absentia. I think he plays the Pale Man. Then you've got Old Boy. So this is the one I originally had, just Tartan Asia Extreme. I've got an old video where I show my whole Tartan Asia Extreme collection. I thought I had them all, but some guy commented saying there was 1 or 2 that I overlooked somehow, or maybe I forgot to show them in the video, but I'll have to double check that really, because some of them are hard to get now. But yeah, first time I seen this, kind of not only enjoyed it, but I'd not seen a film like this. It's quite sort of, I wouldn't say extreme, but it's got some disturbing elements. It's got twists. It's got good fighting, good music, really well shot. Kind of sort of film where if you hear the premise, it don't sound like it's that deep, but when you watch it, yeah, you kind of really have to watch it to appreciate it. I know Blue Roy really likes this old boy as well. I spoke about this with him. Then you've got the limited special edition, which is like the elevator, which has got Old Boy, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, and Lady Vengeance, which are all Park Chan Wook films. They're all good, but Old Boy is the best one. And yeah, I've showed this before when I've opened it and that, but it's got loads of extras and a poster and special discs. And yeah, I mean, it's hard to define this film. I'd say it's kind of part martial art, part drama, part, we've got romantic elements, I guess, part kind of kidnap hostage sort of film. Obviously, without going into spoilers. It's got this isn't really a spoiler, but there's just a scene in the restaurant where I'm not going to say what it is, but he eats something for his dinner, which I'm pretty sure is actually filmed live and it's living when he's eating it. So, I mean, pretty good method acting from main character to be going through with that. You've got this version of it. So it's just the Arrow triple. I don't know if there was ever a limited edition of this with a book, but it's just got all three films. But yeah, I was thinking of trading this one in. Now they're basically exactly the same thing, just different packaging, but they've got the same print, the same aspect ratio, both from the 4K original camera negative. So yeah, not much. Just that one's a bit more collectible. Sorry, that one. But yeah, I'll probably just keep it just because bolsters the Arrow collection, looks nice on the shelf, and I really like the front and that, the way it's packaged, but also some of these favourite films, I like to have as many editions as possible, and then I'm sure people aren't surprised if you know my channel, but my favourite one ever is The Thing. So this is actually missing the posters. Didn't get it when it came out, and it's really hard to get now. It's out of print for years. Didn't think I was going to find it and picked it up in CEX. I think it was £32 price in the window, but it went for 28, maybe because it was missing the poster. And then I've also got this steelbook. I don't know if I opened this one last time. I don't really like the front of. I mean, I don't dislike it, but I think they could have maybe had a better front cover. Oh, actually, I've got this on DVD as well in the other room, but I forgot to bring it out. So this is 4K. So yeah, usually I'm not a biggest fan of steelbook because it's my favourite film. I wanted it on steelbook. Yeah, I think that would look better as the front cover. I mean, in the film, this is a really great special effect, but it isn't the most colourful, kind of eye-catching front to it. I mean, I'm not going to go on about this too much because I've already spoke about it a lot, and I know a lot of people that this is their favourite film, mostly just because of the rewatchability factor, where because it's ambiguous, and even if you sort of think you know who the thing is during it or at the end or whatever, you could just rewatch it so many times to see little clues or little red herrings, and then there's so many fan theories, and nobody ever really knows. Give me a sec, I'll just grab the other DVD just because it's got really nice yeah, sorry, I don't know, I forgot to show this one. Let me get it on a better angle. Yeah, so I think that is a really nice front cover. I like how you see them in the snow. I mean, the guy at the front doesn't actually look like Kurt Russell. I don't know, it was meant to be kind of, isn't really a shot from the film, I don't think. I've never only really just noticed that. But I like the sort of monsters in the background and the way it's all like icy and the writing. Yeah, I think that's a bit nicer front cover. I think if that was on the steelbook, it'd be quite nice. Yeah, rather than that sort of bit on the back. I mean, this I really like. Sets the scene. But anyway, yeah, I'm not going to talk about that one too much. I know people know why this is one of my favourites, and I'm sure a lot of other people respect this film. I think when I first seen this when I was a kid, this does have some nostalgia value. Me and my mate watched it about 9 around his house, and we were enjoying it, but I don't think we really understood the sort of premise in that, and some of the gore scenes, like when the dogs get changed and that. My mate was a bit too intense for him, so he didn't like watching it. I think he turned it off, even though I wanted to carry on watching it. But yeah, I don't think it's really until I seen this again as like 15 years old or so that I sort of really appreciated it, and then just became my favourite film. And yeah, I've watched this probably 20 more times. I do it once every year, and when it snows, I watch it. And, yeah, I just like the atmosphere and the kind of way it catches the like paranoia, who could be the thing. Uh, Even though there's lots of different characters in it, they've all kind of memorable. Sometimes I do struggle to remember a few of the lesser ones, different names to be fair, but they've all got different character traits and looks and that you can identify them from each other. And yeah, I just think, I mean, Halloween's a brilliant film. I think that's John Carpenter's best film. I think when it first came out, it was quite maligned and hated just because it came out at the same time as E.T. And obviously, everyone wanted to go and see the friendly alien film and take their kids to it. So it was a blockbuster, whereas everyone was like, stay away from this, it's grotesque and over the top. And what's that guy, Roger Ebert, is he like the critic? I usually just hated horror films to be fair, but I think he really ripped on this and said it was just schlocky gore fest. And whereas, I mean, the filmmaking in it is so sort of tense and insular, and the way it's all in the Arctic. Yeah, obviously, like I said, I wouldn't go on about it, and I spoke about it for about 3 minutes. But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. I'll be back again soon. I'm going to do another video later of some of my music collection that Sammy G and that wanted to see. I've seen some of his. It's got real sort of, it's quite similar taste, I think, in some of the bands like David Bowie and indie and sort of Britpop and that. So yeah, I'll be back again soon. But yeah, thanks everybody. I know this is a long video. Thanks for your patience if you have watched it to the end. Sure you knew what my favourite number one was without watching it to the end anyway. Bye.